we would end up giving as presents to each other. This book collapses under its own weight. It just has no context. It's not going to happen. We call up the company on Monday and say, there is no way on earth this is going to happen except as a vanity press, unless you're willing to come up with the money to pay, and it's going to cost you close to $1 million to produce this package. You're never going to get your money back. I mean, won't somebody else come in with it? No. On the other hand, how about letting me package a licensed product that we can publish through DC or Marvel and do side stories featuring Pete and his wife? You know, episodes. Just, no, we don't do it. It does. And I'm very grateful I didn't call all the guys. I talked to some of the guys. They were like, oh, God, yeah, you know, hot babes, lingerie, you know this stuff. So I then call up, and I'm saying, I've got the bug. There's a bug in me about this. So I call up the people at Bergen and say, I'd really love to do a 48-page closer for American Century, which I'll write and draw, that would be based on an essay called The Other 60s. The Other 60s is an essay that was written 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, about the Kennedy era 60s. Because those of us who grew up, I mean, I was born in 50, and it's a clear demarcation point that the 50s really end when Kennedy is killed, and the 60s really begin in April of '64 when the Beatles come over. That's how it is for American guys of my generation. And I pitched them a proposal to do a story about the 1960 presidential election, with Harry coming back to the States, cleaning up his record, and becoming a new man, getting a new identity. And they couldn't get rid of me fast enough. They just weren't interested. So that's that. Disappointed, because I still want to do. I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing Avengers 59 is an opportunity to draw rooster ties, guys in hats, and just stuff, 50s stuff. And I'm having a good time with that. So, any questions from you?
Final questions, yeah.
Come on.
Before we give
you cowards, you big babies.
No thanks.
Those of you who spent some time with me yesterday, and there are a couple of you here, know that I'm charming and pleasant. Right, lads?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Well, hey, you know. I mean, some of you spent some time with me yesterday. There were a couple of people here. And we spent, oh, hi, you're down here now. You're confusing me. You're sneaking around, aren't you? You're really good. I'm excited. Both of you. I feel like I'm penned in. Get yellow when I got red. Got to run. Yes. Newt.
I read in, I think it was Draw, when there was an interview with you. You were talking about sort of in a side that you were going to do a book about drawing. And of course, we love the storytelling.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. Misunderstood.
Yeah.
No, I could never do a book about this. Oh, I remember. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out. You're right. No, not about drawing.
Yeah, storytelling.
No, about storytelling.
Yeah.
I sold a book to a company, which, to a certain extent, is part of what I told you yesterday and the day before, called Graphic Design in the Service of Narrative, to a company called Watson Guptill, which publishes the art, which is the art instruction book company in the United States. They bought the book, and then over the weekend, the board changed, the ownership changed, and they killed the book because they decided it was too esoteric for their marketplace. And when I saw what their marketplace was aiming for, I understood and agreed. They don't really want to do books about graphic novels. They want to do books to show 12-year-old kids how to make stars on black fields with toothbrushes. And what I was talking about was what I was talking about yesterday and the day before, which is the understanding of the relationship between space and time in comic book pages. So yeah, it's never going to happen. There was some first interest reinvigorated with the editor who left Watson Guptill and went to Barron's. That seems to have melted and drifted. You know, I've got a first chapter written and an annotation written as well. So if anybody comes along and I'm sitting in my tub with a computer, I'll consider doing it. But there you go. Someone else? Nothing else?
Time for a few more questions.
Last.
Are you ever going to plan to come back here to Norway?
I'd love to. I'm having a great, I mean, look, I told Earl, and I told you everybody else, this is one of the best times I've had at the convention in a long time. I haven't laughed so hard. And I'm fair in mind, I neither drink nor use drugs, and I'm really boring and lame. And I've had a great time, just a fabulous time. The fans are great, people are terrific. I live in a beach town in California. I live about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles. And although my town doesn't look anything like Bergen, it's very much the same place. It's a coastal city. We have surfers, you have boats. Seriously, same deal. It's the same kind of beach culture. It's the same kind of water culture, you know. And you got rain, we have fog. I mean, although I'm right near Los Angeles, we have Northern California weather where I live. It rarely gets any warmer than 70 degrees in my town.
I have an article here for the Norwegian comic book.
You do?
Yeah, and it says that...
That Chaykin sucks. He's a Hoffner.
This quote from you. Black Hawk was the first comic book I ever stole.
Unequivocally.
Which other comic books are worth stealing?
Today?
Yes.
The guy, in other words, what do I like? I love Scalped by Jason Aaron's and Ron Guerra. And it's a classic example of a job where I had a very hard time getting comfortable with the artwork. I found the artwork very confusing and difficult to look at. But I love Jason's script so much that I stayed with it, and I'm really glad I did. Scalped? Great book, no? Terrific book. I mean, it's the book that 100 Bullets should have continued to be. Agreed? 100 Bullets got kind of, what? What? Huh? What? Oh. Still great looking, but not very interesting. I love, and speaking of which, I love Eduardo Rizzo stuff so much. His work, the first, say, 25, 30 years of 100 Bullets looks like the work of one man. There's such a unity of form and idea. And Eduardo Rizzo just lives in Argentina, and he's managed to delineate American urban and rural low-rent culture so astonishingly. It just kicks my ass. I also really like Lionel Yu's stuff. His stuff is so crazy and weird. I just love it. Just nutty. Terrific stuff. And there isn't much else. I mean, I love Jose Garcia Lopez. I like reading Matt Fraction stuff because he's pretty funny.
International series, European stuff.
I love the work of Vittorio Giardino, who's not working. We haven't seen much of his in recent years. He's an astonishing talent. I love Sam Pezzo in Shit City. I love the Max Friedman stories. We were talking this morning with Kelly, your French guy, and I grew up with. I worked with Gil Kane when I was a boy, and he turned me on to Spirou and the work of Franquin and Mike Gregg, Uderzo and Goscinny, and Jean Giraud and Mézières. So I saw a lot of the French stuff when I was a younger man. I love the work of Ferdinand Tacconi, who was an Italian artist who died a couple of years ago, who did a lot of work for the British War Comics. Very graphic, brilliant and smart. I look at a lot of American illustrations you've never heard of. Okay? I collect American illustration, book and magazine from the 20s to the 50s. And we recommended a website to those of you who are curious called Today's Inspiration, by a Canadian storyboard artist named Leif Peng. I'd recommend you take a look at it. It's great. It's got a file of other artists. It's wonderful. Those of you, did you look at it, Mr. Smarty Pants?
Not yet.
No, you didn't, did you? Oh, I told you, you're better looking than he is. It just worked out. So that's about it. I mean, I stole Black Hawk because I love Black Hawk so much because it was basically flying Nazis working for us. That's really what it was all about. I mean, great outfits. Will Eisner steals the Gestapo uniforms and puts them on American troops. It's fantastic. Someone else. One last. Come on, you cowards. We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Come on. Thanks so much for your attention.
Thank you.
Is that fun?
That's very fun.
Did I tell you not to worry? I worry. I whine and I worry. Reading.
No, it's your work.